Welcome. Right. And calm it. Welcome to the moment of clarity. Welcome to the craft along. Here we go again with our lino stamps. And breathe. Thing is, you only need to flick one little switch the wrong way and the whole thing falls apart, you know? So it's okay. 9 times out of 10 we get it right. Have you got your gear with you? Have you got your lino cuts? Are you happy to get going? All good here, Barb. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Now, let's see. What am I leaning on that's so wet? Oh, crikey, Mikey. Right. Okay. And take 2. Let's have a look where we were and where we're going. So if you remember, I mean, many hundreds and hundreds of you now have invested in these lovely lino stamps. So we thought that it would make very good sense to put them through their paces and have a play with them so that you know what you spent your money on and what to do, how to get the most mileage out of your goodies, out of your craft stash. If you're surfing the net and you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, let me find the stamps. We'll have a look at them. Here we go. So you can see here, these are those 3 sets of lino stamps, and many of you have got them now. So it will be lovely to have another play with these. And when we were together last time, we really got back to basics and we talked about ink pads and how to stamp. So if you're new to stamping, it may be well worth going to Clarity Stamp YouTube, our channel, and going down the moment of clarity to the first time that we did these. Now, where did we get the idea? Just a quick recap for the lino cuts. Well, I drew them myself because I'm into lino cutting at the moment. I'm learning. I mean, I'm only a novice. There are some amazingly talented lino cutting artists out there. But I think for you, it's a good thing to know that this is, for example, one of my lino cuts. This is the other one. And from these lino cuts is where Lucy, clever Lucy at work, she took my lino art. See, that's a print there. And she turned it into these positive and negative stamps, like our 2-way overlays. They're really cool. And then, of course, we've got additional little assets, as we call them, which we're going to use this evening. So we've got the daisy, we've got the midnight rose, positive and negative, and then we've got the woodland meadow grasses as well, which are very nice. And, you know, this here, when you're cutting with the tools, the bits that you leave, these stripes that create these stripes on a print, these are called chatter or noise. And some artists, they get rid of all the chatter. They don't like the noise in the back of their lino cuts. I personally really like it. I think it lends a really lovely kind of rawness to the sort of just natural, you know, not so polished. So this is what we're going to use this evening, and I thought that we could use them in conjunction with some distress oxides. Now, for those of you who are new to the world of stamping, distress oxides, let me just pull in this great big selection of. This is what we're going to be using. So if you are going to stamp along with me, we're going to be using these. They're on the website. Paul will give you the link. Paul Church is in the building with you. He'll be able to give you the link if you're looking for them. We've got a special price on these. But I thought, because they're fantastic ink pads, but it's really good to know how they work as well. They're sort of water reactive, which is really cool. So, having said that, what we do need is water, agua, Wasser, H2O. So you need a spritzer bottle of that as well. You need some of them. And then the only other thing that we maybe need is some sponges, makeup sponges. We sell these spot-on sponges, which are very good. They're good because they're polyurethane. They don't crumble so much. Right, so we've got those, we've got that, we've got that, we've got that. Right, that's what we did last time. So what we want to do first of all is have a look how the stamps sit together. We won't go through it all again though, because we're going to be using them with the oxides. But just if you're new to the party, let me just recap on what we did last time, just to show you how the two stamps work alone, but they also work together. God, didn't I get a rush of blood to the head when there was no volume there, you know? Hi everyone, come on in. Have you had your tea? I'm having my tea afterwards. Actually, we're on a diet, aren't we, Grace? Okay, no tea. I had a couple of gherkins. That's really something. Right, let me show you. If you look at the stamp, for example, let's just look at this stamp. You can see there are two different images. One's the black, for example, you can see the chatter here. So the black is the stamp and the blue is the stamp. So these are the two different stamps. If I take those two stamps, let me just show them to you. I've got that one. Let me take the dirty one. So not dirty, used. So that one is that one there. And then this one is the one with the moon, which is that one there. Okay, so those are the two stamps. Now, conversely, I can flick this round and I can do that one in black and I can do that one in blue. So now you see that one's in blue and the one with the moon is the one in black. Okay. Now they work together and this is what we were looking at. So here, for example, we've got the black chatter and then we've dropped the blue onto it. You see? So that's what we did in the first session, wasn't it? We took the black and then we dropped the blue onto it. Or, and this is the key, so they look nice on their own and they look nice when you do a blue sky in the background or a green or a coloured sky. Look, here we go, look. Change the colour, see? So you've got that one, or we can turn it round now and then we can put the blue on the night sky. So now the chatter, you see the difference? Now we've taken this blue and we've dropped it over onto the moon in the background and the chatter or the noise in the background is now blue as opposed to black. See? So those are the two pairs when you mix and match them. And the only thing that I would suggest is if you're going to overlay them, it doesn't matter whether you're doing the black sky or the blue sky, whichever way round you're going, right? Always, this is only what I kind of figured out, always use the black first. Whichever way you're going, do the black first and then drop the colour into it. And the reason for that, because I hear you asking why, is because when you use a black ink pad, it's very opaque. You can't see through it. So you could put the blue down, then when you go to line up the black stamp, you've got this solid wall of black that you can't see through. That's why the blues and the dye-based inks, at the very least, are more translucent, so you can see through them. Now tonight, this evening, we're working with distress oxides, and they react to water, but they're chalky. They're quite chalky, and again, they're quite opaque until you add water. You see, so nonetheless, we're still going to put the black down first. Should we decide to use black? Okay. Right, so let me put my stamps back so I know where to find them when I go to look for them. And that's, in essence, that's the trick with two-way overlay stamps. I mean, if you go to our website, we've got some beautiful, really lovely three-way overlays and two-way overlays. This is the first time that we've applied that principle. It's like screen printing almost, isn't it? We've applied that principle of overlay printing, but to a much rawer kind of linocut style stamp. Yeah, and there will be more of these because I love lino cutting, and between us, Lucy and I, we've got this now. So let's have a look what we're going to do this evening. First of all, we'll have a cup of tea. I'm coming down slowly now. Right. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is say, what's the end game this evening? Now, the end game this evening is to create the triptych. So what I mean by that, let me just show you. And it comes. If we look at the triptych, what I mean by that is a triple mount. So what we've got here is 3 openings, and then we've got these bits that we're stamping on. Okay, so you can see here, we can pop these in here. What I've got now is all 3 of them, and I'm using the ones with the chatter, you see. So the ones with the open sky, and these are going to sit inside. So I'm going to make a beautiful. We're decorating the downstairs loo, so this is going to go on the downstairs loo wall, Dave, just in case you're wondering. And so these bits, I cut them out, and these are the only things that are not in the triptych kit, are these little bits. And somebody asked, I think it was Linda Jones, but I want to say it was Linda, but it might not have been. See, so these bits here, Linda asked, how'd you cut this out? And I'm going to show you. It's a piece of cake. But what I've done is I'm putting these bits in, these little pieces of stamp board. This is made of stamp board. And we're putting these bits in to elevate the artwork so that you get a kind of a shadow when you mount them, rather than dropping them in like that and then they're quite flat. This way you get a really cool light. You create your own drop shadow really by doing that, like so. And of course, if we wanted to, we can go the other way. You know, we can do the negatives instead of that one. We could put that one in. Now, what we want to do, we might like it in black and white. I might just go black and white. But if we want to inject colour, I mean, this is using just a bog standard little ocean. Oh, let me just grab it. One of these artistry inks. It's the ocean one. Okay. But tonight we did that last time. So I thought we'd experiment with some different ink pads. But this is just using artistry inks. So you see, you could do really nice blues in there. They work really nice on there. But what we want to decide now is which colours, which colourways we're going to use. So I'll make a couple of suggestions. First thing I want to do, though, is show you how to cut up the stamp board, because you may want to do that. You know, when you buy these triptychs, let me show you this. When you buy the triptychs, you see you get a really big bundle. Really big bundle, and you get 6 of the panel and 6 of the triple mount, and then you get it must be 18 of these ones, the stamping on ones, let's call them the stamp on ones. But then you also get, and they're buried in here, and that's what we're going to do, you also get these ones, and I've got them here. So these are brilliant, right? And this comes from here. When we cut it out, it comes from this bit, and then what we did in addition, we added backs, see, like that, because we thought these would make fabulous. First of all, but watch, they'll make fabulous little mounts like so. I'm going to show you, we're going to make one of these. Have you got these? Because this is what we're going to use. I'll show you how to use this. And the other thing is that if you don't use that, you can use this beautifully to frame a piece as well. Like on a larger piece of mount board, let's say, you could take all that off there, put that on there. See, and you could stamp your artwork on there. I mean, this fits in there because that's where it came from to start with. But you could stamp your artwork in there. You could colour the frame, watch, like so, see? And then it just becomes like a raised frame on the same artwork. So that's really cool to have. That's what we're going to do this evening. So I just wanted to explain, first of all, what comes in the kit. And the end game this evening is to make this triptych, to fill this up. And while we're on this subject, let me just grab all these little bits that I've got here. I need all these. while we're on this subject, I want to show you how you cut this board up, because that was what, I think it was Linda, what I was asked. Right, so let's put this to one side. Let's put all these little bits away. It's going to come back to those. And how do we cut this out? It's a really good stamp board. The clue's in the name. It's stamp board. It's not mount board. It's stamp board. The way I cut it out, right? If I show you, so I do it all the time. Oh, there's a nice piece to cut out. Right, let me take my. Have you got one of these? Hang on. Have you got one of these? What? They said. One of these, like a guillotine. You got a guillotine? These are really cool. Let me see if I can show you from the top. Right, so let's just take one of these, okay? And if I want to make the smaller pieces, the risers, say I need a riser like this, right? I don't need, I'm going to, let's say I get 2 out of this, that'll do, or 2.5, right? I just want to show you how it cuts. It cuts like butter, see? So you just decide how big you want your riser to be. I'm going to go 1.5, that'll do. See, and then you just hold it in place and cut. And it cuts like, literally, like butter. Okay? 1.5, 1.5. Let's turn it around, see if I can get 3 1.5s out of there. I can certainly get enough. There you go. I've got another 1.5 there. And that's good enough. There you go. Didn't think I could do that, did you? There you go. How did I manage that? There, that's fascinating. So I took what, I don't think I could do that twice. I took one of these ones. I took one of those ones and I cut 1.5 that way. Then I turned it round and did 1.5 that way, and it worked. Now I've got my 3 little risers. Wunderbar. That was more luck than judgment, I can tell you. Right? But you can see how it just cuts like butter. If you haven't got a guillotine, then a craft knife and a ruler will do the job. But I just wanted to show you what I use. So it works well. Can you die cut it? Not easily. It's quite thick, but it's great for stamping on. Okay. So that was the first thing I wanted to clarify, was how you cut it out. Okay, that answers that question. If you've got any other questions, then fire them at Paul, and maybe Paul can feed them through to me. Hey? Kind of being in the room together, isn't it? So the first thing we want to do, yeah, if you've got any questions, ask. Oh, chair. Right. First thing we want to do is pick a couple of colours. So let's have a look, for example, at one of those little, let's have a look at one of these. Right, so what I did, you can see, I've taken, this is us trying to decide now on which colour. I've taken one of those and one of those. Okay, so that one we're going to stamp on. This one we're going to stain. Right, that's the first thing. We're going to put these distress oxide through their paces and get used to them. And do we want to stamp straight onto our artboard? Well, it's got 2 sides for a start, so if it doesn't go particularly well, you can always use the other side. That's the other thing. Another thing that I want to show you, right, is if you've got a bone fold, when you're using these pieces, let's get the right glasses on, just a little top tip. When they got cut out, they haven't got cut out with a beveled edge. So what we're going to do is take a piece of copy paper and a bone folder, or what we want to do is when you look at this, right, any of these, what you'll find is there's a little nick in the corners where the blade's gone, and then as it's turned, it's got a little nick. Now, if you turn it over to this side, no nicks. No nicks. Right, the nicks are only on that side. It's double-sided, so let's call this the front now, where there are no nicks. Now, this edge is quite sharp. You don't want to get yourself a paper cut. What we want to do is compress it. And to do that, we're just going to use the flat of a, like I use a bone folder because that's what I've got. But you could use the flat of a spoon, like the handle of a spoon or a spatula, anything that's flat, right? And then you're just going to roll along that edge. Now, I'm using, let me just put this to one side so I don't lose it. I'm using a piece of copy paper so that I don't get a shine on the work as I'm doing it. So we can prime our artwork before we start loading it up with colour. We can just, doesn't matter if you slide, that's what this is for, right? So you just go along and just compress that edge, and then compress it. I've done the inside, now let me do the outside. I'm just going to go along like that, and you just compress the outside edge, and it will give it a really nice rounded effect, and all the shine stays on the copy paper, see? So now I've got no harsh edges, all compressed inwards, and also no nicks. Right, so that's sorted, done. And we've got one of these. So it's just a question of deciding, this hasn't got any nicks because it's the centerpiece, but you do want to probably compress the edges. I think it just looks more professional if you do this. Yeah, there you go. And the other thing is, it stops you, because what you do is you run your finger along there and then you've got a paper cut. I could run my finger along there and get a paper cut. I mean, we all know how much they hurt, but see now it's kind of got a curve on it now. I've done that. So I've done that and I've done that. Happy days. So once we've done that, that's just what I want. It's like prepping your artwork. Now let's have a look, first of all, which stamp we're using and how we're using this. So this is the wrong piece, isn't it? I'm going to stamp the larger piece, backdrop, like that. Okay, I'm going to stamp that backdrop. And so that's that bit there. Okay. What I'm going to use is the meadow grass, but instead of using the background one, I'm using the positive. So you see, you can inject colour either into the background, or you can do the actual line, the front picture as colour. So for example, if we look at this daisy, we could do that in any colour, couldn't we? It's this one you want, the one with the chatter in it. In other words, the one with the solid, doesn't matter which one you go for, whether you go for this one, or this one, the one you're after is the black one. The black with the lines in it, okay? Not the background one. So I'm going to go with the meadow grasses one, this one. Yeah, that's a nice one. So I shall use that. And I'm going to use, let's decide which ink pads we're going to use. I'm going to use Distress Oxides, and I'm going to play it safe. I'm going with peeled paint and chipped sapphire. So I've got a kind of a light and a dark contrast, and I know that they blend nicely to create, let's have a look when we look up close where the two meet. So you get a really nice, yeah, it's nice. Do you see? So let's look at those two, and then we'll see how this goes. So we've prepped out, before we do anything else, how to know where to center it so it's in the middle. I went a little bit too heavy-handed with the pencil. It wasn't necessary to go so hard at it, right? But all I need to do is just make a couple of little registration marks. One there, just in the corner, see? And then when I lift that off, that's all I need, is those little registration marks in the corner, because that's all I'm going to be looking at, and it tells me exactly where the middle is. Okay, is that working? Everybody happy? Have we got any questions? Should we come in a little bit closer? Come on then. See if we can see it better. And what I'll do is I'll take a piece of copy paper so you can see what we're up to. So if you've got, pick your two colours, prep your thing, your frame, make sure you've got your registration marks so you know where you're going to plant your piece of artwork. Now I need a couple of makeup sponges. Yeah. Okay. What we're going to do, right, spot on sponges, they're ideal for this. And then what we'll do is we'll put the lighter colour down first, right? So this is the Distress Oxide. Now I can go like that, and I can add a bit of colour like that. Right, that's quite quick, isn't it? So I can do that, and then I can do the same down the bottom. Let's do this as well. Okay, Distress Oxides. Right, so we've got those two colours. Now the thing is, with these, they don't dry fast like the archival, so we can talk about it, and we're going to spritz them with water as well. They work dry and they work wet. You get different effects. And the other thing is, as you start applying different colours as well, it's like pulling a print. You leave a little bit of the last colour behind and then add it. It's one of those games, okay? So let's just see how they work. Many of you will be familiar with these ink pads, but many of you won't. So let's just see what we're doing. I've got two colours and I've got two spot-on sponges. Thing is as well, and I wanted to say this, if you invest in the spot-on sponges, you know they do wash. See, as I've used them, and I don't want to grunge them up, I'm not going to put them in the washing machine with my best shirts, but what I will do is put them in one of those nets and in a bowl of soapy water, and then just soak them out and then put them in the airing cupboard, and then they dry. They stain a bit, but it doesn't matter. You can use them again and again. I'm all for recycling. So the spot-on sponges are good. Don't throw them away. Now let's have a look. We're going to blend the colour now. So we'll take that ink pad. There, you can see that well, can't you? And we're going to... What glasses have I got on here? Oh yeah, God blimey. I've got the right ones on. So we're going to add a bit of... Just spread that colour out so it's not so blistery. Okay, so we'll do that. And we've done the top part. Okay, now take the blue, make another mushroom. So I've got a green one and a blue one. Now I'm just going to spread this colour out so it's not so blistery. Now what I can do is I can actually come up the edges a little bit and blend the colours a little bit. Yeah, so I could do that. Right, and I could even add a little tiny bit, just a little touch down there. I wonder if that would give us a bit of shadow. Who knows? Give it a go. You'll never get two the same, that's for sure. Right, let's see if this works, shall we? So we've got a little bit of blue and a little bit of, what did I use? Chipped sapphire and peeled paint. Which colours have you used? Question from Tina Strike. What is the difference between oxides and normal distress? Well, you're about to find out. They're both water-based, they're both dye-based. The distress ink pads, the standard ones, they're not as chalky. They're more like the artistry inks. They're very dye-based, and they don't react in the same way as the distress oxides do. You'll see, you can add water to them, but you don't get this sort of really lovely marbling effect that you get with the oxides. You could do exactly what we're doing with the distress inks, like the artistry inks. To me, the distress inks, I've got loads of them. I've got a cupboard full of them down here. Distress inks, as opposed to distress oxide inks, they obviously come from Ranger. The distress inks are in the artistry family. They're water soluble, they bleed with water, same as these do. But you'll see the marbling effect when we add water to this is very different to those. But they're in the same family. And you certainly get all the same colourways. Okay, so answer that question. Okay, keep coming, keep them coming. So now I've got this, let's have a look. I've got this loaded up. Have you got yours loaded up? Yeah. Now we could do this dry, just planting it, or we could do it wet. Now here's the choice that we've got, and I want to show you. I think we're going to go. Let's just try it first so we see. Right. Let's just go. Now let's not waste time. Yeah, let's. let's just plant that now on a bit of copy paper and just plant it dry, not adding any water. Okay, let's do that thing. Right. Okay, nice. So we've got, you can see, this is on a piece of copy paper. Right, this is going to answer Tina's question. So this, for example, is a really lovely chalky on copy paper, and you can see the blend, all the colours, where we've added a little bit of blue and it's blended in with the green. Very nice. You get it? Okay, now let's take that, and we're gonna, and this is where you'll see this ink seems to carry a lot further. So let me sit down again, and what we'll do now is, let's call this rejuvenating now. We're just going to rejuvenate. So if I just add a little tiny bit more, we've got a layer now. This is the thing. We've already got a base layer. We've almost primed the stamp, right? So we don't want to saturate it again because the water will carry it a long way. But let's just add a little bit more blue here, just a bit. Actually, I probably want to go in with a lighter colour first. Go in with a light colour. Right, and instead of saturating, I'm going from the ink pad with the sponge into the, there we go. Let's take a little bit in there, like so. And then we'll add, oi, don't do that. Right, it's all right. That's why we do it on scrap. Then we'll just add a little bit of blue around the edge. Just add a bit through here. See whether it works. What do I want to do there? Turn this round. Add a bit of blue in there. I'm adding more than I normally would, actually, because I think I want you to see how it works. Sometimes on the screen you can't see it so well. So there's a goodly amount of ink there, but nowhere near as much as the first time round. So I've got my piece in place. Oh, hello. And what I'll do now is, right, spritzing water. Now this is the only thing. You're gonna over wet it and it will be too blotchy. You'll under wet it. You know, it's just a question of figuring out how far away to hold it. I mean, if you go and you hose it down, the ink will just run off it. So the trick is to hold it. This is what I've kind of figured out. I'll get the water going. I'll get the water going. You see this all right? Right, water going. And then I'm going to do about 3 spritzes at arm's length. Let's have a look. So get the old spray going. Right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now let's have a look. That's plenty. That's plenty. See if you can see it now. If I hold it up to the camera, can you see? There's plenty on there. I would say. I don't think we want to put more on there. In a minute, I wish I had, but there you go. And what I'm going to do now is hover with the handle, because that's always a good thing. And I've got my registration marks, and then I'm going to place this down, hover with the handle until I'm happy with the position. I reckon that'll work. There you go. Then I'll pop that in there and I'll press on that part of the stamp. See, so I'm going to press on that part of the stamp and I'll let that ink flow into the stamp board. See? There you are. So the colour now is actually in the line art rather than the backdrop. So let's have a look if it worked. So you can press it, see if it works. Yeah, lovely. Absolutely beautiful. Let's have a look in the base. See down here, it's not as dark as that one there, but I love it. It looks good enough to me. Got lovely colouring up here. Do you see? Now my thoughts on this, because there's always a temptation. You get the best one and then you think, oh, I wish mine was as dark as that again. Well, get over it. And don't stamp over it either. I don't think, what happens is you could try, right? But if you don't get it exactly in the right place, then unfortunately, you get a kind of a shadow. I've tried so many times to try and overstamp. If you've got a stamp positioner, if you've got one of those stamp positioners, happy days, just go more ink, bosh, down you go again, right? But I'm not there yet. So I'm happy with that, and I know it's in the right place. And then my stained one, I'll show you how to do this in a minute. See, that sits over the top like that, and that looks, I think that looks peach. Looks really nice. Yeah. So even though this is what we do, you see, we look at that and we think, oh, it's rubbish. That's because you're comparing it with that one grey, right? But when you finish it, who's to know that that wasn't deliberate? That I wanted a little bit of that open area there. Yeah. But you can see, Tina, the difference when you do, let's look at these. When you use oxides over just normal distress inks, when you're looking at it, see how it's kind of marbled. Can you see the marbling? And that's basically the magic of the oxides. Really, really cool. And when you nail, it's when you nail the amount of water and the amount of ink, you get the knack of it, then you really see it. Let's have a look at another one that I did earlier. Then you'll see the difference between dry and wet. So this one's dry inked, okay, and then this one's spritzed with water. See how, sorry about that. Same colorways, but check out how much brighter and marbled it gets when you add that's why I love these oxides. I think they are brilliant. So, yeah, they're good for stamping and they're good for backgrounds as well. Right. Paul, maybe you can give a link to the website because we've got some super colours and I think we've got a good price on them at the moment. If you want to boost your collection of oxides, now's the time. So we've done that and we've done that. Let's put that to one side. And I want to show you how we're going to make this frame. This is easy, very easy, right? But let me just show you. You've got choices. So you can take your makeup sponge. Let's have a look. I'll show you the change. Let's say take one of these, right? And then take your makeup sponge and then add your colour to the frame, like so. This works. This is a choice you've got. You can either do it like this, you can do it like that, right? If you're feeling a little bit more grungy. But either way, this is stamp board. So what you're going to end up with, I know it looks messy until you're finished, but that's the thing, isn't it? So we'll add a bit of, and don't worry about leaving a bit of a gap, then you can always fill it. Now, again, this is where what we were talking about. Let's get a bit of depth in there. Put the lids back on. It's good housekeeping, really. So it looks a bit of a mess until you do it. Of course, it needs some water spritzing on it, doesn't it? So what we'll do is I'll take it away from here because I don't want to hose my surface down. So I'll take my water and again, let's just activate it. Again, Tina, this is the difference between, let's have a look. So we're spreading the ink around now. And all we've got to do now is blot it. So this was quite nice as well. I thought this was quite good. Let me take that out of the way. Let's see what happens if you're putting it through its paces. I think you just have to see what it looks like. It's worth a piece of paper just to see whether it works. So a bit of this is a piece of Clarity stencil card. Right, let's see what happens if we use it like a stamp. Okay, I'm going to hold it like that so that I can run over it without fear of cutting myself, right? And I just want to see, it might not work, but hey, if you don't try, how will you ever know? But it might be really cool as a kind of a frame. No, it's not wet enough, you see? I'd have to have been a bit faster. It worked earlier, but that might have been a really nice frame. It was worth a try though. But you can see now that my frame is lovely, see? And it's got that marbled effect, Tina. It's really cool. And you can't see it so well on the screen. But if you could see it when it dries, hang on, let's come away a little bit. Sorry, fuzzy. Sorry, guys. Right. When it dries mottled. So it dries varying shades of green and very cool. Okay. Now, let's leave that one to one side. See, that one's the same as that one. There you go. That's how they work. So we've got our little panels like that. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, while we're working with these two colours, let's just stick with these two colours. This is I did this. I've got it under. I put it underneath the mat just to hold it, to make it dry. So these three pieces here are also background pieces of card that I used because I thought, well, yeah, you've got ink pads in front of you. That's what it's all about. See, so now these ones work really nicely. This grey, when I first did it, I thought that's boring, but actually that is the colour. You see, it's really nice. We take that one and pop that on there on that grey. Makes a smashing background. See, this one, or the brighter one, just whatever you fancy. It's just a question of, see, I quite like that. And you trim it back and you've got yourself a brilliant background. Now let's have a look at how to do this, because again, it's all about the water, but we'll give it a go. See, and what we're doing here, we're putting some different colours through their paces, and we're putting different stamp colour applications through their paces. So, because the end game is that triptych, the end game is that. So let's have a look at this. If you take a blending, have you got a blending mat? Have you got one of these? It's a blending mat. Right, this is cool. Let me just put this to one side and let's look at this. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken a poly bag. Let's come to this cat. You know, like a bag that you get all your gear in, like that. And I've split it on that side and on that side. So it's like an envelope, like a flap envelope like that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is put the blending mat in there, like that. So it holds in there, and then that goes in there, and then that closes over the top like that. See? So you've got, in effect, you've got a poly bag that opens up like that, and there's your blending mat. Now let's have a look how to get these three different, this is how it works. I've got three different ones. That was the first one I did. That was the second one I did. And that was the third one, the mop-up, the real mop-up. And it's all about water. Goodly amount of water, less water, loads of water. See, it becomes a wash, like a wash, literally like a wash. So what we're going to do now is take this and we're going to add, let's just take let's just take a little bit of the colour like that. That'll do. And we'll take, you could do this with the distress inks as well. The only difference is, in my opinion, and I don't want to get scientific about a few ink pads, but in my humble opinion, it's the marbling, it's the water reactiveness of these that I would say is different. So we've done that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to add a bit of water. Spritzer. Okay. Let's give it a bit of water. Get that moving. Okay, let's have a look if we can move it around a bit now. See, this is cool, this bit, because it helps me shuffle the water, the ink around. See, so I can close it like that, and then I can start moving it around, see? Right, and I can push some blue into the green and some green into the blue, like that. Move it round, and as it starts to blend, it changes colour, see? So now when I open that up, I've got lovely colour in there. I know if I put a piece of our stencil card on here, it will be patchy because I can see the blisters and the patchiness there. This won't pick it up that quickly. So in order to create a wash, right, I'm going to spritz the card. And this is why the Clarity stencil card is so good, because it can take the paint, it can take the water, it can take the texture pastes. So here we go again, a bit more water. So we'll give that a bit of a hose. Right, nice and watery now. So we've got two different watery surfaces. Now, if I pop that in there like so, and I lean this over like that, and run that through there, see what happens. I've got loads of ink in here though, excess, but it should be all right because I watered the, see? Fabulous. Background papers. See, I love all this. This is great. And when that dries off, you get all the mottling. You can see it already happening a little bit here, you see? But you get the different mottling. And when it dries, it will dry with those different layers in it. It's really cool. Then we put that to one side. There's still loads of ink here, you see? So the idea is that you can have an inky session. Make some background papers with these colorways, because this is what you want, is backgrounds or foregrounds. But the end game, what we're doing here while we're learning, is we're moving towards that triptych. So let's look again at this one. We could do, if I could take this one, put it back over the top, and I'm loading the blending mat, if you like, with a bit more ink. See, because I've just flapped the load back again. So I take that away. Now look what happens if I don't add water to this. I'm just doing this to show you. I'm not saying it's no good, I'm just saying it's different. So if I do that, right, without adding water to the paper, let's see what happens. You get different effects, you see. There. Now, very different, isn't it? Now, I wonder what happens. I don't think now it will move. If I do this, I don't think it will move, you see? It's soaked in, it's done, yeah? So that's it. However, now this is wet, I wonder if I can move it a bit now, if I don't want this kind of crocodile-y look. You see what happens if I put this back down? So you only learn by playing. Let's have a look. So now what I've got is I've got to tone down because I've gone with a wash because the card was wet. So what I'm explaining here is it's not just about wetting the ink or the stamp, it's about wetting the card as well. You get a different effect, you know? So that's another one. And then the other thing about this is if I put that somewhere now, like that, I could come back to that tomorrow and I can reactivate it with water. That's another cool thing to know, is that you can reactivate this with water. And then how did I dry this flat? The ones that I did have, that was easy. I just took a couple of pieces of copy paper and then I sandwiched them between a couple of pieces of copy paper and put them underneath my mat, and they just dried flat. You know, they didn't curl as they would have if I'd let them just air dry on the side. They curl because I sandwiched them between two bits of copy paper and put them. I didn't put them in a heavy book. I just stuck them under the mat that'll do. And then they come out flat as a tack. Good to know, I said, right? So, and I'm getting myself a little stash going here. There you go. So they can go with them. That can go with that. In between the two bits of water. See, in between the copy paper. Every now and again, I'll shuffle the copy paper around. Then it goes in under my mat like that. And then by the time tomorrow morning rolls around, I'll have 5 or 6 beautiful pieces of background paper ready to chop up and stamp on. Needs to be dry to stamp on, I think. It's better. And then this, that's easy. I can use that tomorrow, or if I prefer, I can just wipe it clean, you know, and then all you're going to do, or run it under the tap, whatever you think's best, dear. Okay. So I'm going to put that over there for the moment. But it's water. It's just water will run it clean. Same as it would run off the brayer. The stamps, you just wipe them with a cloth and a little bit of water, and the distress oxides come off like a charm, just fine. Okay. So that's the first kind of the the first part of the lesson, the craft along, I wanted to show you how these little guys work, how you make your edges. See now the watery, see the difference between the real watery one? Where's that real watery one? That one. Can you guess how I did that? Can you guess how I did that one? As opposed to this one. This one, obviously, I sponged, didn't I? With the, with the makeup sponge, with the spot-on sponge. This one, actually, what I did was, I took this like that, and then I took this piece here, right, and I put a bit of water in there. See, I'm glad I didn't clean this now, and you'll see. And then I just pushed and smeared, and it took a little while for it to get going, but you see, and you get random colours from the. See, if I want a bit of yellow, I'll reactivate that side, and I'll pop that in there like so. And I just pushed my different areas into the different parts of the colour on here. And if you want it really dark, you get in that crease there, because I can see there's a lot of that dark moody blue, that chipped sapphires in that corner there. See, now once you've got your ink on there, and sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a dry patch like that. So just that on its own. Okay, let me just pop that back there for a minute. Back on a bit of copy paper like this. And then blot it. Let's just blot this. Right? And then let it dry. You can use a heat gun, see? So you can, if you blot it, I've just about taken most of the colour off again. So don't blot it unless you want it to be really faded. Go back in, get a bit more. Yeah? Pick up a bit of the colour. There you go. That green's powerful. I like that. Right, we'll do that. There. Don't blot it. Let it air dry, or use a heat gun, and then you'll get a lovely, look, you get these lovely frames, and they're going to work like really beautifully over the top of these, okay? Or over the top of a larger piece, if you like. I'll just show you what I mean. If I took that, for example, and I stamped on there, and then I used one of these over the top of the other piece, that would look pretty cool as well. Do you see? So, right, that's that. How we doing? You still with me? Come on. The best is yet to come. You cool with this? I've done that, we've done that, we've done that. I'll just pop this over there. Let's just move these out of the way. And now we're going to try something, a different colourway. Should we try a different colourway? Now, when we were doing this just now, what we were doing was we were stamping the, if you like, the positive. In other words, if we look at our, going back to the stamps now, we were stamping this one. Yeah. And what I want to do now is, rather than stamp this one or this one, I want to go to the background. This is the one that I want to now use. So that changes the game. So we're using the second stamp. I would say we go with the daisy. Do you fancy the daisy? Come on then. Let's go to the daisy. And what we need, though, is the background daisy, this one, where the ground is open, but the background is dark. Yeah? So I've got a couple on the go here. It's that one. It's got more. Yeah? I'll use a newer one so you can see as we're loading up the colour. And what we need, again, let's try this out now. We're going to try this out. And I say that what we'll do is we'll stamp. Let's put that to one side. Bearing in mind what the end game is, let's give this a go now. So what we want is to stamp. Let me see if I've got one. All right, okay, one of them. We need to stamp one of those. Yeah? Yeah, that's it. That's what we need to do, stamp one of those. Because what we're going to do is stamp the background into place. Okay? So first thing we want to do is take one of your, do you want to try it on a bit of card? Should we try it on a bit of card, and then on your own, you could transfer it, because you know that it works on the, we've done that. Why don't we do it on a piece of card, and on a piece of stencil card, so that you get used to how much stamp you know, how much ink you need on the stamp and how much water before you do the job. Yeah, come on then, let's do that. And then you can do the end game in the piece of, you know, in your own time with your own colours, and give it a bit of thought, and rather than, it's easier, okay. Now, the colours that I want to use this time are worn lipstick, I'm going to go for, and walnut stain. Nice, pink and brown. Lovely colours together they are, aren't they? Let's try that. I'm going to use me daisy, but I need both daisies because I'm going to stamp the other one in black as well, because I need that as well. So what we're going to do next is take our background daisy, a bit of copy paper, going to load this daisy up. Exactly like we did before, I'm going to treat myself to 2 new sponges. This time, instead of doing the line art, we're going to do the background. Give it a go. Right, you ready? So I'm going to add a bit of the worn lipstick to the top, and then I think I'll add a little bit of the brown, the walnut stain. These are the colours that we seldom go to, you know. Let's put a bit of that down the bottom. Right, so I'm going to blend this in first with my pink. That'll do. Right, so we've got that going. We're blending this in so it doesn't go all blistery. And we're going to do exactly what we just did actually, but now we're using a different stamp. So let's go to the brown. I think I need a bit more brown. What do I think? I think I want a little bit more brown. So I'll just make a mushroom. I'll just add a little bit of brown through there. I think maybe I'll just blend it in a little bit, like that. What do I think? A little bit of brown up there. Yeah, I don't want to kill off the pink now I've got all that going. Right, so the thing about this kind of work is, when you're doing this, it's about being aware of how much you're using and where you're putting it. So that if you're not keen on what you've done, you know what to tweak the next time. Because otherwise, if you keep doing what you always, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. So it's really important to really focus. It's that mindful process, isn't it? Focus on what you're doing so that if you don't like it, you know what to do to change it. Right. So I've inked up a little bit of the pink, and I haven't really put any of the brown at the top. Do you know, I might just add a little whisper of brown up there. I may regret it, but I've done it anyway. And then what I shall do, I shall put this one on the left-hand side. This is my tester here, right? So this is what tells me now, did I use enough ink? Did I put the right colours in the right place? Should I have done a bit more? Doesn't matter. I'm only going to do it the once, but I want to give it a go. Now, let's have a look. All right. Not bad. Not bad. Dry. Remember? It's dry. So missed a bit there, but that's okay. I can live with that. I'm priming the stamp. For a first time, that's not bad. You've got a stamp positioner up, a bit more in this area, bosh, down you come again. Now, we've done that one. Shall we rejuvenate that like we did last time? Let's rejuvenate it. So I'm going to put a little bit more of the brown in again. I quite like where I put the colours. Now's my chance to change it if I don't like it. Now's your chance to say, well, I don't want to put so much pink in that area. Okay, let's do that. I wonder what happens if you put a bit of pink over the top of that. Give it a go, give it a go. Right, so we'll leave that there. Just leave it there for a minute now. We've just rejuvenated that one. We're not going to add any water to that yet, because now what we want to do is add the black. So you need the other one now, the opposite, where the daisy's solid. You got that one as well? And we shall use a black archival or a VersaFine. Both work. Slower drying, also black. This one's new, should do the job. It's usually a good idea to prime the stamp. To prime the stamp or season the stamp. Do you remember we were doing this last time? Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing here, can you? Oh, my mentor. Right, so I'm just inking up the stamp well. Ink up the stamp. I'm using an archival black. I like archival. I think you get a really beautiful, I think the archival Ranger ones are just great. But the VersaFine is good too. I'm not arguing about that. I'm not product bashing here. I had to make a choice once upon a time and I went with the archival. There you go. So I've just positioned that in. I've got black on my finger. Oh, fatal. So we'll just ink this up. Right, let's get that. Now, it may have stuck to the card a little bit, which is great, because it means I can lift this off and maybe burnish the back like you would with a lino cut. Yeah, just make sure that I've got all the... Do we have any more question? Right, what we got here? Question from Jules. Sorry, I've just realised I haven't answered any questions. Good enough. There we are. So I've got my black now. Question from Jules Rob. Which inks can you use on clarity coated? Now that's a good question. Which ink can you use on clarity coated card and chromo card? Right. It's funny you should say that. I've got a couple of examples here. This is so cool that you've asked this, Jules. Now, this is a clarity coated stock. Shiny, like chroma card. Same thing. Okay, not the same thing. Reacts in the same way. Now, this is an artistry ink, isn't it? It's an artistry ink. And it stamps beautifully. It's like an Adirondack. That's the thing about the clarity card. It stamps really nicely. This is a black archival. Also stamps really nicely. The only thing, so what I'm saying is you can use black archival on here, on the clarity coated stock, and you can use dye-based inks like the artistry inks. The only thing that I do before I stamp on here, and I wonder if I've got some handy talcum powder. I put a little bit of talc on here and dust it before I stamp onto it. And what the talc seems to do is it just gives the ink a little bit of purchase. It gives it something to grip onto so you don't slide around. That's all. And the only other thing worth mentioning is because it's coated stock, the ink doesn't seep into the card, therefore it takes a little bit longer to dry. But you can see it works beautifully. If you're going to work on clarity coated card, the only thing you need to do is give yourself that 5 or 10 minutes afterwards to let it dry. Okay? So that's that question answered. Cool. Next question from Karen Drennan. What ink is best to stamp on parchment? Will Oxides work? Right. Which ink is best to stamp on parchment? Absolutely black archival. See this one? This is where you get into it. The VersaFine, it takes an age to dry on parchment because parchment is like coated. So archival for sure. Would the Distress Oxides work? No, because they're water reactive, they would just wipe away. Doesn't matter how long you wait. I don't think they'll ever set. Okay, but I haven't tried it. It's only what my intuition tells me. You know, so I can't say that for sure. But I don't think that Distress Oxides would work on parchment. But I can't say that 100% because I haven't tried it. And until I try it, I can't guarantee that. Depends what you want to do. I've got a feeling I know what you want to do. But that would be my response to that. I stand corrected if I'm wrong. Right. Okay, so that's that one. So we've got the two different ones now. Right, we've got the black and we've got the one that we rejuvenated. Remember this one? We rejuvenated it. So now what we're going to do, you know, because we've already done it once, so now we're getting old hands at this, little bit of water, and then we're going to overlay it onto the black one, okay? Now we're combining all the things that we're learning, right? Bit of water, and now here we go. 1, 2, quite a lot, 3. Oh, I think I overcooked it. It's all right though. What's the worst that can happen? It's a bit of paper. Okay. There you are. So you can see that I think I've overcooked it. Look, a little bit too much water here. See it all here? But hey ho, let's see what it looks like. So I'm going to flip it over. Now this is where you see what I mean about it's not as easy to see through because it's all muddy now, right? And chalky. It's not as easy to see through as the dye bastings, these ones that we were using last time. Do you see? I really ought to get a wriggle on because I reckon that this chalky one's probably drying on the stamp. So now I'm just going to hover with the handle, and I can see just about as I get closer. So do I want to do a little drop shadow? That might be fun. Let's see if I can get a little drop shadow in. When I say that, what I'm doing is I'm going down, but I'm moving across a little bit. So I'm pressing down, but before I press down, I just shunt across a little bit with the stamp. I mean, that's the theory, but I think I hosed this with so much water. We'll see. Let's see if it worked. See what happened. I reckon it will have flooded it. Oh no, it's pretty cool. It's rather nice. And we've got a really nice little drop shadow going. But it's quite light, you see. Let's let it focus. See the white? Look down the bottom. You look in the black, you can see the drop shadow, see? So that's pretty cool. That's quite nice, isn't it? There we are. So now we've got these two. In this stamp set, try not to split your artwork, right? In this stamp set, there's also, let me just see, and then we'll call it a day. But you'll see in this stamp set, the daisy one, there's a moon, right, or a little circle, and a bee. And what we want to do now, let's have a look, is take the same colours. We'll take the same colours, let's take the lids off. Here we go. And we'll take this, and we'll take our makeup sponges, and now we're going to try something. And this was an idea. I saw this on one of lovely Dee Paramore's pieces of artwork, and I thought, what a clever girl she is. So I'm going to take the pink from here, and I'm going to make a circle, right? Then I'll take the brown, right? And I'll add the brown to the pink. I wonder what I'll get. Maybe a weird colour, but we'll give it a go, right? So I'm going to pop this one in there, like that. Okay, so now I've got now I'm going to go in the brown again. Let me wipe this one down. So I want proper brown now. See if it works. Take the brown. Do I want a brown? See, that looks pretty brown, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe I want to... Do I want another pink one? Let me just check on a bit of scrap here. It's too brown. I'm going with another. I'm going to try something. I'm going to push the boat out now. Right. Half pink. Hey, look. Half pink. And I can't see how this is going to work. Right. And half brown. See if this works. Look. Okay. And then, now I've done that. Oh, right, we'll give it a go. And now I just want to blot it because I need to. And I'm just going to twizzle it a little bit. So I've got some and some. Yeah? Why not, she said. And then I'll maybe put it at a jaunty angle. And then I'll pop it in the middle between those two. Nice. That'll do me. Right, so now I've got those three things. Okay. I'll show you. This was the piece that Dee did, and I thought, what a clever idea. What a clever girl she is. Look, see? So she used the colour in the background, just like we have. Then she put the bees in. It's cool, isn't it? I know. Right, so we don't need these anymore. So lids on, good housekeeping. Right, any other questions? What have we got? No. Right, black archival, yes. Right, now we need a little bit of room because this is the last thing to do. So I'm going to go in there. Let's get the pressure right first. Let's make sure that we're not pressing too hard. That'll do. Right, so we've got our little bee. And don't want to press too hard or it'll just squelch. So we're going to go like that. Give a wobble. Perfect. Going again. Now this time I want to change the direction of the bee. I think I'm going to go that way round. Right, ink up. And then this way. And then wiggle. Nice. And then I think this one's going to come in from the top like that. Coming in from the bottom, flying in. There. There we are. And so we've done several little things there, right? This one's dry. This one's black with the pink in the background wet. And then we've added the little moon or the little, you know, the little feature, if you like. Yeah. And then now you've done all that. Hang on, let me sit down. Now we've done all that, it's a question of deciding, right, the end game. You've tried several different colourways. I have pink and brown, green and blue. Let's check this out. I did this one earlier. This one, what do I think? No, I like the one I've just done better. Right, so let's have a look. And you can decide now, do you want to use the dry one? Let's have a look here. Do you want to use the dry one on its own? Do you want to go black? Do you want to do the positive in black or the negative in black? Do you want to do the positive in colour? Do you want to put the colour in over the top? Which colours do you want to use? You see how much mileage you're getting out of this now? There you go. Do you want to do that? Which ones do you want to use? Do you want to do it really colourful? Like just beautiful, loads of different colours? Do you want to go grey, not black? Look, I mean, endless. Do you know what would look really nice? A whole like a montage, like a medley of all different ones. And all, doesn't it look lovely when you put them all out, all different colours? You know, and I haven't even got my pink, my brown one in yet, my favourite. And don't forget, we've got our frames as well that we can include. I mean, there's so many lovely things going on here. You know, look, smashing, isn't it? I love it. So you pick your favourite colour. Doesn't have to match the wallpaper. Come on, we're artists. And there you go. So that is another way to make the most out of your lino cuts. I think it's just a question of deciding how you want to apply your colour, whether you want to use dye-based inks, and then of course there's the whole other realm of paints. I think that the Distress Oxides, for my money, they're like the bridge between ink and paint. They're lovely, really nice, and just the effects that you can get by spritzing. There's a set of stamps on our website. It's getting really warm in here. There's a set of stamps on our website that I drew, and they're Christmas baubles. They're two-way overlays. Many of you will be familiar with them. And I drew them as baubles. They're not lino cuts, but they're, and I remember doing a couple of years ago, they were like the stamps of the season, if you like, right, for the Christmas season. And it was at the time when the Distress Oxides were really, you know, big. And I can remember standing at the NEC for days making these gorgeous backdrops, like with the black, and then the backdrop with the oxides, and the black, and the backdrop with the oxides, and just glorious artwork. So you maybe if you get a chance to look up those the Barb's Christmas baubles, I think they're called, or something like that. And they're two-way overlay stamps, same principle as this, but drawn rather differently. So anyway, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed that. Paul, thank you so much for your help again on this Wednesday evening. And I've just had a little message. A little bird told me that it's Ken Kilminster's birthday on Friday. Ken, you're getting younger and younger. How is this possible? Many, many, many happy returns from everybody in the Shack. Happy birthday. Right, and on that good note, Ken's just a good bloke. Happy birthday, Ken. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. And thanks, Paul, for your help. And I hope that this helped. Lots of love. And I will see you on Sunday, first outing up to Peterborough in the Craft Store Studios with another glorious set of stamps. And guess what I'm going to be using? You got it. Distress Oxides, because the new stamps that I've drawn, they go so beautifully with the Distress Oxides. They're really cool. Yeah, I just remembered that. Lots of love to you. Have a lovely evening. Stay safe. Bye-bye now.